Emor. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, Speak to the priests, the sons of Aharon, and say to them, No one is to be defiled for the dead among his people, except for his relatives who are nearest to him, for his mother, and for his father, and for his son, and for his daughter, and for his brother, and for his maiden sister who is near to him, who has had no husband. For her he is defiled. A leader does not defile himself among his people to profane himself. They do not make any bald place on their heads, and do not shave the corner of their beard, and they do not make cutting in their flesh. They are set apart to their Elohim, and do not profane the name of their Elohim, for they bring the fire offerings of Yahuwah, and the bread of their Elohim, and shall be set apart. They do not take a woman who is a whore, or a defiled woman, and they do not take a woman put away from her husband, for he is set apart to his Elohim. And you shall set him apart, for he brings the bread of your Elohim. He is set apart to you. For I, Yahuwah, setting you apart, am set apart. And when the daughter of any priest profanes herself by whoring, she profanes her father. She is burned with fire. And the high priest among his brothers, on whose head the anointing oil was poured, and who is ordained to wear the garments, does not unbind his head, nor tear his garments, nor come near any dead body, nor defile himself for his father or his mother, nor go out of the set-apart place, nor profane the set-apart place of his Elohim. For the sign of dedication of the anointing oil of his Elohim is upon him. I am Yahuwah. And let him take a wife in her maidenhood, a widow, or one put away, or a defiled woman, or a whore. These he does not take. But a maiden of his own people he does take as a wife. And he does not profane his offspring among his people, for I am Yahuwah who sets him apart. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to Aharon, saying, No man of your offspring throughout your generations who has any defect is to draw near to bring the bread of his Elohim. For any man who has a defect is not to draw near, a man blind or one lame or disfigured or deformed, a man who has a broken foot or broken hand, or is a hunchback or a dwarf, or a man who has a defect in his eye, or eczema or scab, or is a eunuch. No man among the offspring of Aharon the priest who has a defect is to come near to bring the offerings made by fire to Yahuwah. He has a defect. He does not come near to bring the bread of his Elohim. He does eat the bread of his Elohim, both the most set apart and the set apart. Only he does not go near the veil or approach the solder place, because he has a defect, lest he profanes my set apart places. For I am Yahuwah who sets them apart. Thus Moshe spoke to Aharon and his sons, and to all the children of Israel. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to Aharon and his sons, that they separate themselves from the set-apart offerings of the children of Israel, and that they do not profane my set-apart name in what they set apart to me. I am Yahuwah. Say to them, Any man of all your offspring throughout your generations who draws near the set-apart offerings which the children of Israel set apart to Yahuwah, while he has uncleanness upon him, that being shall be cut off from before me. I am Yahuwah. Any man of the offspring of Aharon who is a leper or has a discharge does not eat the set-apart offerings until he is clean. And whoever touches what is rendered unclean by a being, or a man who has had an emission of semen, or a man who touches any swarming creature, by which he would be made unclean, or any being by whom he would become unclean, even any of his uncleanness, and the being who has touched it shall be unclean until evening, and does not eat the set-apart offerings, but shall bathe his body in water. And when the sun goes down, he shall be clean, and afterward eat the set-apart offerings, because it is his food. He does not eat that which dies or is torn by beasts, becoming unclean by it. I am Yahuwah. And they shall guard my charge, lest they bear sin for it, and die thereby, when I profane it. I, Yahuwah, set them apart. And no stranger eats the set-apart offering. A sojourner with the priest or a hired servant does not eat the set-apart offering. But when the priest buys a being with his silver, he does eat of it. And one who is born in his house does eat his food. And when a priest's daughter is married to a stranger, she does not eat of the set-apart offerings. But when a priest's daughter is a widow or put away, and has no child, and has returned to her father's house, as in her youth, She does eat her father's food, but no stranger eats of it. And when a man eats the set-apart offering by mistake, then he shall give a set-apart offering to the priest, and add 1/5 to it. And let the priest not profane the set-apart offerings of the children of Israel, which they lift up to Yahuwah, or allow them to bear the crookedness of trespass when they eat their set-apart offerings. For I am Yahuwah, who sets them apart. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to Aaron and his sons, and to all the children of Israel, and say to them, Any man of the house of Israel, or of the strangers in Israel, who brings his offering for any of his vows, or for any of his voluntary offerings, which they bring to Yahuwah as an ascending offering for your acceptance, is a male, a perfect one from the cattle, from the sheep, or from the goats. Whatever has a defect you do not bring, for it is not acceptable for you. And when a man brings a slaughtering of peace offerings to Yahuwah, to complete a vow, or a voluntary offering from the cattle or the sheep, it is to be perfect, to be accepted. Let there be no defect in it. Those blind or broken or cut, or having an ulcer or eczema or scabs, you do not bring to Yahuwah, nor make an offering by fire of them on the slaughter place to Yahuwah. As for a bull or a lamb that has any limb deformed or dwarfed, you do prepare as a voluntary offering, but for a vow it is not accepted. Do not bring to Yahuwah what is bruised or crushed or torn or cut, nor do it in your land. And from a son of a stranger's hand you do not bring any of these as the bread of your Elohim, for their corruption is in them, and defects are in them. They are not acceptable for you. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, When a bull or a sheep or a goat is born, it shall be 7 days with its mother, and from the 8th day and thereafter it is acceptable as an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. But do not slay a cow or a sheep and its young on the same day. And when you slaughter a slaughtering of thanksgiving to Yahuwah, slaughter it for your acceptance. It is eaten that same day. Leave none of it till morning. I am Yahuwah. And you shall guard my commands and do them. I am Yahuwah. And do not profane my set-apart name, and I shall be set apart among the children of Israel. I am Yahuwah, who sets you apart, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim to be your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, The appointed times of Yahuwah, which you are to proclaim as set-apart gatherings, my appointed times are these. 6 days work is done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of rest, a set-apart gathering. You do no work. It is a Sabbath to Yahuwah in all your dwellings. These are the appointed times of Yahuwah, set-apart gatherings, which you are to proclaim at their appointed times. In the first new moon, on the 14th day of the new moon, between the evenings, is the Pesach, to Yahuwah. And on the 15th day of this new moon is the festival of Matzot, to Yahuwah. 7 days you eat unleavened bread. On the first day you have a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. And you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah for 7 days. On the 7th day is the set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, When you come into the land which I give you, and shall reap its harvest, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest, and he shall wave the sheaf before Yahuwah for your acceptance. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest waves it. And on that day when you wave the sheaf, you shall prepare a male lamb 1 year old, a perfect one, as an ascending offering to Yahuwah. And its grain offering, 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to Yahuwah, a sweet fragrance, and its drink offering, 1/4 of a hin of wine. And you do not eat bread or roasted grain or fresh grain until the same day that you have brought an offering to your Elohim, a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. And from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, you shall count for yourselves 7 completed Sabbaths. Until the morrow after the 7th Sabbath, you count 50 days. Then you shall bring a new grain offering to Yahuwah. Bring from your dwellings for a grain offering 2 loaves of bread of 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour. They are baked with leaven, first fruits to Yahuwah. And besides the bread, you shall bring 7 lambs 1 year old, perfect ones, and 1 young bull and 2 rams. They are an ascending offering to Yahuwah. With their grain offering and their drink offerings, an offering made by fire for a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. And you shall offer 1 male goat as a sin offering, and 2 male lambs a year old as a slaughter of peace offerings. And the priest shall wave them besides the bread of the first fruits, as a wave offering before Yahuwah, besides the 2 lambs. They are set apart to Yahuwah for the priest. And on this same day you shall proclaim a set-apart gathering for yourselves. You do no servile work in it, a law forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. And when you reap the harvest of your land, do not completely reap the corners of your field when you reap, and do not gather any gleaning from your harvest. Leave them for the poor and for the stranger. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th new moon, on the first day of the new moon, you have a rest, a remembrance of Teruah. You do no servile work, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, On the 10th day of the 7th new moon is Yom HaKippurim. It shall be set apart, gathering for you. And you shall afflict your beings, and shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. And you do no work on that same day, for it is Yom Kippurim, to make atonement for you before Yahuwah your Elohim. For any being who is not afflicted on that same day, he shall be cut off from his people. And any being who does any work on that same day, that being I shall destroy from the midst of his people. You do no work, a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It is a Sabbath of rest to you, and you shall afflict your beings. On the 9th day of the new moon at evening, from evening to evening, you observe your Sabbath. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, On the 15th day of this 7th new moon is the festival of Sukkot, for 7 days to Yahuwah. On the first day is a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. For 7 days you bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. On the 8th day there shall be a set-apart gathering for you, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. It is a closing festival. You do no servile work. These are the appointed times of Yahuwah, which you proclaim as set-apart gatherings, to bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah, an ascending offering and a grain offering, a slaughtering and drink offerings, as commanded for every day. Besides the Sabbaths of Yahuwah, and besides your gifts, and besides all your vows, and besides all your voluntary offerings which you give to Yahuwah. On the 15th day of the 7th new moon, when you gather in the fruit of the land, celebrate the festival of Yahuwah for 7 days. On the first day is a rest, and on the 8th day is a rest. And you shall take for yourselves on the first day the fruit of good trees, branches of palm trees, twigs of leafy trees, and willows of the stream, and shall rejoice before Yahuwah your Elohim for 7 days. And you shall celebrate it as a festival to Yahuwah for 7 days in the year, a law forever in your generations. Celebrate it in the 7th new moon. Dwell in booths for 7 days. All who are native born in Israel dwell in booths, so that your generations know that I made the children of Israel dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim. I am Yahuwah your Elohim. Thus did Moshe speak of the appointed times of Yahuwah to the children of Israel. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring you clear oil of pressed olives for the light, to make the lamps burn continually. Outside the veil of the witness in the tent of appointment, Aharon is to arrange it from evening until morning, before Yahuwah continually, a law forever throughout your generations. He is to arrange the lamps on the clean gold lampstand before Yahuwah continually. And you shall take fine flour and bake 12 cakes with it, 2/10 of an ephah in each cake. And you shall set them in 2 rows, 6 in a row, on a clean table before Yahuwah. And you shall put clear frankincense on each row, and it shall be on the bread as a remembrance portion, an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. On every Sabbath he is to arrange it before Yahuwah continually, from the children of Israel, an everlasting covenant. And it shall be for Aharon and his sons, and they shall eat it in a set-apart place, because it is most set apart to him from the offerings of Yahuwah, made by fire, an everlasting law. And the son of a Israeli woman, whose father is a Mitzrian, a Mitzrayim man went out among the children of Israel, and the Israeli woman's son and the man of Israel strove in the camp. And the Israeli woman's son blasphemed the name and cursed, so they brought him to Moshe. Now his mother's name was Shelomith, the daughter of Dibri, of the tribe of Dan. And they put him under guard, that it might be declared to them at the mouth of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Bring the one who is cursed outside the camp, and all those who heard him shall lay their hands on his head, and all the congregation shall stone him. And speak to the children of Israel, saying, Anyone who curses his Elohim shall bear his sin, and he who blasphemes the name of Yahuwah shall certainly be put to death, and all the congregation certainly stone him, the stranger as well as the native. When he blasphemes the name, he is put to death. And a man who strikes the being of any man shall certainly be put to death, and he who strikes a beast repays it, body for body. And when a man inflicts a blemish upon his neighbor, as he has done so, it is done to him, fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, as he inflicts a blemish upon him, so it is done to him. And he who strikes a beast repays it, and he who strikes a man to death is put to death. You are to have one right ruling for the stranger and for the native. I am Yahuwah your Elohim. And Moshe spoke to the children of Israel, and they brought the one who cursed outside the camp, and stoned him with stones. And the children of Israel did as Yahuwah commanded Moshe. But the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, who guarded the duty of my set-apart place, when the children of Israel went astray from me, they shall draw near to me to serve me, and shall stand before me to bring to me the fat and the blood, declares the Master Yahuwah. They shall enter my set-apart place, and they shall draw near to my table to serve me, and they shall guard my charge. And it shall be, when they enter the gates of the inner courtyard, that they put on linen garments, and no wool shall come upon them while they attend within the gates of the inner courtyard, or within the house. They shall have linen turbans on their heads, and linen trousers on their bodies. They shall not gird themselves with sweat. And when they go out to the outer courtyard, to the people, they shall take off their garments in which they have attended, and shall leave them in the set-apart rooms, and shall put on other garments, and they shall set apart the people in their garments. In their heads they shall not shave, nor shall they let their hair grow long. They shall keep their hair well trimmed. And no priest is to drink wine when he comes into the inner court. And they do not take as wife a widow or a divorced woman, but take maidens of the seed of the house of Israel, or widows of priests. And they are to teach my people the difference between the set apart and the profane, and make them know what is unclean and clean. And they are to stand as judges in a dispute, and judge it according to my right rulings. And they are to guard my Torah and my laws in all my appointed times, and my set apart Sabbaths, and set apart my Sabbaths. And they are not to defile themselves by coming near a dead man, only for a father or mother, for a son or daughter, for a brother or unmarried sister they defile themselves. And after his cleansing they count 7 days for him, and on the day that he comes into the inner court of the set-apart place to attend in the set-apart place, he brings his sin offering, declares the Master Yahuwah. And it shall be to them for an inheritance. I am their inheritance, and you give them no possession in Israel. I am their possession. The grain offering and the sin offering and the guilt offering they are to eat, and all that is dedicated in Israel is theirs. And the first of all, the first fruits of all, and every contribution of all your contributions belong to the priests. And the first of your ground meal you give to the priests, so that the blessing rests on your house. The priests are not to eat any bird or beast found dead or torn to pieces. And the chief priests and the elders and all the council were seeking false witness against Yeshua to put him to death, but found none. Although many false witnesses came forward, they found none. But at last 2 false witnesses came forward and said, This one said, I am able to destroy the dwelling place of Elohim and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest stood up and said to him, Have you no answer to make? What do these witnesses against you?" But Yeshua remained silent. So the high priest said to him, "I put you to oath by the living Elohim that you say to us if you are the Messiah, the Son of Elohim." Yeshua said to him, "You have said it. Besides, I say to you, from now on you shall see the Son of Adam sitting at the right hand of the power and coming on the clouds of the heaven." Then the high priest tore his garment, saying, "He has blasphemed. Why do we need any more witnesses? See, now you have heard his blasphemy. What do you think?" And they answering said, "He is liable to death."